Hello my little learners, you can call me Lovegood, and welcome to the Podfic's Baton Pass for Shutterbug by Iriley. The way this works is I'm reading chapter 20, Evie is Evil read the previous chapter, and Mouse Satan will be reading the next chapter, passing along who will be reading Shutterbug until the Podfic is finished. The full playlist and link to this fic are both on my latest post, so please go and check that out. Now, onto the chapter. Waking up to a high-pitched alarm, Peter bolts up from his spot on the couch. Looking around, he remembers he's staying with Clark while in Metropolis. Said man was making breakfast. More accurately, he's pouring bowls of cereal. Standing from his spot on the couch, Peter walks into the kitchen before sitting at the table. Clark sends him a smile before sliding a bowl over to him, along with a spoon and milk. "Hope you don't mind. It's the only one we have at the moment." The man scratches the back of his head, embarrassed. Peter nods before glancing at the box. "I'm fine with whatever superheroes." Peter cuts himself off. The man looks off to the side before speaking. "John picked it out, and I didn't see it until it was too late." Peter can see that. Grabbing the milk and pouring some into the bowl, he gives a quick thanks before digging in. Peter moves to help with the dishes, which Clark allows when John and Connor make their way in, sitting at the table and eating while Peter dries the dishes, said dishes being a set of bowls, glasses, and spoons. Looking at his phone, Peter sees the time and lack of charge. "I need to get ready," he mumbles, as he makes his way over to his bag. While getting his clothes for the day out, Peter notices the absence of a phone charger. "Lovely," he deadpans. He had to modify the one he'd gotten before, so he couldn't just get a new one. He'd have to save it for emergencies. Moving to the bathroom, Peter gets dressed and gets himself ready. Once out, he waits as Clark finishes getting ready himself. John and Connor are still in their pajamas, watching a show while sitting on the couch as Clark enters. "Do not stay on that couch all day. I expect you boys to do something today. And no powers while doing your chores. You know what happened last time." The boys in question nod, but don't say anything otherwise. Clark sighs, but grabs his keys and nods towards the door. Peter follows the man outside as they make their way out of the building. Slipping into the same car as yesterday, Peter watches as Clark starts it before beginning their journey to the planet. 20 minutes later.
"Good morning, Mr. Parker. This here is Mercy. She'll be the one to bring you to the shoot." Peter nods and looks at the woman as she steps forward. "Mercy Graves. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Parker. Mr. Luther is very excited to meet you," she says. Her short hair is tucked into a driver's cap, and she stands almost at attention. "Nice to meet you as well. Just Peter's fine, and that's good to hear," Peter says, thinking back to what Clark had said about the man the night prior. The woman, Mercy, nods stiffly and starts to walk forwards. "Right. Mr. Parker, this way, please." Peter glances at Clark before following behind her. Once outside, she leads Parker to a long black car. She stops and opens the door, motioning for him to enter. He does with a quiet thanks as she shuts the door before climbing into the driver's seat. It takes about 20 minutes to get wherever they're going. Peter's quick to see the Lex on the front of the building. He's quickly led inside the tall building and into an elevator. Mercy doesn't speak much during the process. It's only when they've reached the top floor and are standing outside a set of heavy doors that she speaks again. "Mr. Parker has arrived, Mr. Luther," she says as she knocks on the door. A muffled voice comes back through the still closed doors. "Send him in then, Mercy." She looks over at him and opens the door, revealing a large office with a bald man sitting behind the desk. Peter walks until he's standing in front of the desk, waiting until the older man stands to greet him. Said man looks at Peter but doesn't stand yet. Peter doesn't move or sit or say anything until the man sets his papers down and stands up. "Peter Parker, I've seen your work, and I must say I'm impressed. It takes some dedication to get pictures of Gotham's resident birds, not to mention getting a picture of the big bat." The man sticks his hand out, and Peter shakes it, despite the almost mocking tone he'd used when bringing up the vigilantes. "It's nice to meet you as well, Mr. Luther. Where did you want to take the photos?" Peter tries to move past the man's flattery and into the work. "Ah, yes. We can take the pictures here." Peter nods and looks around the mostly empty room. Not a lot to work with. He walks over to the window a bit and turns to face the man. Is there anything you want to show, or you just want to pose here? Lex thinks for a moment before giving a little smile. Smirk? Whatever you think is best. You're the photographer behind the famed Wayne shoot, after all. Peter turns to look at the window again before getting an idea. Would you mind stepping over here and glancing out the window? The man does, and Peter walks back, messing with the settings on his camera before lifting it up and taking the picture. Lex is lighted by the natural light from the window as he looks out. He isn't smiling, so Peter gets in position again. Sorry, one more time please. Could you smile as well? Lex does, and Peter takes it again. Moving up, Peter shows the image to the man. I must say, you're quite good at this. Thank you, it's not much. He gets cut off. Nonsense, I do my research, Mr. Parker. You've quite the mind on you as well. Your transcripts are proof enough. Once again, Peter gets cut off as Lex turns to walk over to his desk. In fact, my real reason of bringing you all the way to Metropolis was to make you an offer. This made Peter pause. An offer? This gets a smile out of the man. I'd like to sponsor you, Mr. Parker. Peter, if you wouldn't mind. You would come live here, in Metropolis, and go to school. Once done, of course, you'd be invited to work here formally. You could also intern here while in school. All of this is paid, of course. Peter couldn't lie. That was an amazing deal. And to be honest, if he had landed in Metropolis instead, he would have taken it almost immediately. But I appreciate the offer, Mr. Luther. Please, call me Lex. The man cuts off with a confident smile. Lex, but I'm happy where I am now. The man's smile falls, but he quickly redirects. Yes, I'm sure you have your friends in Gotham, but I think the opportunity would be quite beneficial. I'm sure they'd want you to do what's best for your future. I'm sure they would, but I also know they'd want me to do what makes me happy. The man gives another push, as a good friend should. I just know you'd be making your parents proud. Joining up with a large company would let them rest easy, no? Peter doesn't hesitate for an answer. Not like he used to. Much too used to the words and pitying looks of others about parents he never knew. Mr. Luther, with all due respect, that's not something you get to decide. This makes the man back down, taking a seat behind his desk. My apologies, Peter. Here, it's not much, but take a mint. Peter shakes his head. I'm allergic. Ah, yes. The man stops, letting silence hang in the air for a moment. If you don't mind, would you be willing to take one more picture? One of me behind the desk? Peter reluctantly nods. He's still here for work after all. Lex positions himself before starting to direct Peter. Could you back up a bit? Maybe half the way to the door. I have an idea of what image I want. Peter does, even if he grumbles in his head. I thought I would know best. Once far back enough for the man to be satisfied, he tells Peter he's ready. Once the camera is up to his face and he clicks the button, he hears the sound of movement below him. As he pulls his face away from the lens, he sees a pane of glass in front of him. A quick look shows it's the same around him. Looking up and getting ready to jump, Peter watches as it closes. You won't be able to jump out. Peter looks over at the man, now standing in front of the glass tube. Nor will you be able to punch your way out, even with that super strong punch of yours. This makes Peter pause. How does he know? It was quite the show. Everyone was talking about it. A mere child defeating Killer Croc. He was at the ring, and now Peter was stuck in a tube. Peter can hear the door opening behind him, giving him hope, only to lose it when Lex orders Mercy to move him downstairs before opening a personal elevator. Mercy moves the tube, the floor giving way for a movable platform. Any attempt of reasoning with the lady falls on deaf ears. Pleads and an attempt at a deal all lost to the lights flying by. Soon enough, he's left alone, in a larger room. Only when the room's door is closed do the glass walls open up. He's in a large off-white room, one wall pure glass, with a large bed. kitchenette, and a door on the opposite wall. Peter suspects it's a bathroom. Overall, it looks like a studio apartment. How long did he expect Peter to stay here? Walking over to the glass wall, Peter pulls his fist back and swings it down into the wall. His fist stops in its tracks, and there's not even a crack. Peter is struck with the memory of Clark telling Peter of Lex. He tried to kidnap me one time, put me in an empty room and everything. Had to wait for backup. He'd laughed it off, but Peter could see a bit of worry in his eyes, as if Lex would do the same to Peter. If only he knew. Alrighty, my Lulunas. That's a wrap of this one. Sorry my voice is so bloody cracky today. I don't know why. It might be because I woke up not too long ago. But anyway, this is a little reminder that the full playlist and link to this fic are both on my latest post, so please go and check that out. And tags are in the description as well as warnings. Bye, little learners.